Joining us now, a political expert who has long studied the way speech affects society. Kean University Provost David Birdsell. Always great to see you. Appreciate you jumping on here with us.
Good morning. Great to be here today.
I want to get to the speech part of this in just a moment, but first up, because it's so new, let's talk about the VP pick. What does the selection of J.D. Vance tell you about the mindset of former President Trump right now?
The J.D. Vance pick is a double down on MAGA politics. Though he began his career as a Trump skeptic and actually called himself a never Trumper as late as 2016 during the campaign, he's made a full U-turn and has endorsed virtually every aspect of MAGA politics. So this is a very, very strong play to the Trump base. It's a real question right now whether it extends the Trump appeal, which he has to do if he's going to return to the presidency in the fall.
Let's talk now about how this assassination attempt, David, has really impacted the political temperature. It just appears that there is this tone shift. It seems that Trump has been deeply impacted by what has happened, and so has the entire party. And as we edge towards and closer to his speech on Thursday night, what do we expect him to say? And do we think that this is going to stick for the party, this step away from divisive rhetoric?
If we think about this emotionally, it's an extraordinary experience for anybody to be shot at and survive that attempt. Wrap that then in the heroic narratives that have since Saturday blossomed among the GOP and in the Trump campaign specifically. And I think you see a slightly different Donald Trump, a person who's trying to inhabit that heroic moment, the great images, horrible purpose, but tremendous visuals that come out of that for the former president. And he's going to be pushing those themes. He recognizes the political gold, and as long as he can, he's going to push it. The question is, how long and how much do Democrats back off on some of the core criticisms of Trump that I would like to say in many instances are not invitations to violence, but are talking about the candidate's positions on questions of basic constitutional governance. And that's one of those questions that we're going to see that ties into themes of American violence in political rhetoric across the country.
And to that point, we understand just from some ABC News reporting that the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, has now released 16 new billboards to be put up around Milwaukee, warning of this Donald Trump J.D. Vance ticket, primarily highlighting some of their extreme views with the Project 2025. So that's something that the DNC is planning now. But we just heard President Biden give a new interview to NBC recently where he said that he regretted using the term "put Trump in the bullseye." He was making a clarification. It wasn't crosshairs literally, but this was on a phone call with a donor. It seems like as President Biden was trying to weather his own political storm before last weekend, he's also still facing pressure whether or not he's going to stay in the race himself. How does he calculate how to move forward depending on what you move to next with everything that's happened with former President Trump?
President Biden, since he ran in 2020, has cast himself as a healer, a uniter. Now the question is, can he do that as an opposition candidate? I mean, obviously the incumbent president, but opposing Donald Trump and all of Donald Trump's rhetoric. I would really have three litmus tests if you're trying to listen to political rhetoric and deciding whether it is violent or it's hard. Does it demonize the opposition, number one? Does it dehumanize the opposition, number two, and does it directly endorse violence as a legitimate option for political discontent? Those are the things you want to look at. Those are direct invocations of violence. Concerns about constitutional governance are not.
Well, David Birdsell, your insight is always very much appreciated. Thank you for taking the time.